You're listening to Oilersnation Radio, presented by the Nation Network. Subscribe for free on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Oilersnation Radio, episode 114. Bag Milk here with Tyler Yaremchuk, Nation Dan, Rick, and special guest, Wanye.
What's happening, everybody? Hello, it's me, your friend.
Papa Wanye.
Papa Wanye, damn right. Grandpa Wanye. I don't know where he's been. He's 2 months. Oh, I don't know.
Today, we are going to talk a little bit of Oilers. We're probably going to get off the rails, and I'm going to see Tyler getting annoyed. And it's going to make me happy because this one is always on the rails. Wanye's here. That's not going to happen. Episode 114, starting off, Sherwood Ford Giant Question of the Week. It's time to winterize your vehicle. New tires, a little bit of service. Maybe you need a new whip, new Bronco, Dan. I could be driving a new Bronco, buddy.
Always a Bronco buster.
Follow Sherwood Ford on Twitter at Sherwood Ford, on Instagram at Sherwood Ford _the Giant. Mr. Tyler Yaremchuk, today's Giant Question, if you please, sir.
Okay, before I get to that, Rick, what are you cheering for on TV right now? We're doing this on video, so we can talk about this.
Iowa State and Texas right now. I need Iowa State to win, and they're marching right now. They're down to about the 5-yard line. They're down by 4. Get a touchdown in the last 2 minutes here. We're good to go.
Perfect. I love a little D-Gen talk.
Rick, you got some money on it or what?
Yeah, I got a couple bucks on this one.
All right, the Sherwood Ford Giant Question of the Week. Okay, we've sort of done this a little bit in the past, but not quite specific as the question will be this week. But if you could pick one former Oiler who is not in the Hall of Fame, they cannot be in the Hall of Fame, one former Oiler to pluck from their prime and put them on this year's team, who would that player be? And I suppose why?
One is excited.
Cujo at the height of his game on this team right now, getting 6-7 shutouts a year. Oh, hell, we can't help but go to the second round.
Cujo is actually part of the mailbag question that came in, so yeah. I like that already. Tyler, who's your pick?
There's a lot of candidates. Like Cujo is definitely interesting. I think a shutdown defenseman would certainly add a certain element to this team. And I wanted to say Pronger, but then I was like, oh crap, he's in the Hall of Fame. Even though you don't think of him as like a Hall of Fame Oiler, he doesn't qualify. So like Steve Smith, Charlie Huddy, those guys I'm interested in them because I think this team could use a defenseman like that. Bill Guerin would certainly be interesting. You know, playing on Connor McDavid's wing, getting them that kind of player. Doug Waite would be interesting as well, but I'm going to agree with Wanye, man. Cujo, getting a top-tier goaltender on this Oilers team would just do wonders. And second round, we're going conference finals. We're winning the cup with a goalie like that. So Cujo's my answer.
Nation Dan.
See, Cujo's a good answer. It's a fine answer. Spoiler alert, I've already written my answer to the mailbag question for this one, and I was just about to actually just throw that out the window, but I'm going to stick with my answer of Dwayne Rollison. 2006 Dwayne Rollison is like, Cujo's good, and he made some amazing saves. He's like, you know, he's probably gonna go down as one of the best goalies not named Grant Fuhr on our team. But Dwayne Rollison in 2006 came into this team that was just absolutely rudderless. We had Mike Morrison and UC Markkinen and Ty Conklin as our 3-headed goaltending monster. And he came onto that team, which it definitely wasn't the best team in the West. It finished 8th in that year. So I think Dwayne Rollison, 2006 would be my answer for sure.
Rick, between the football games and the Oilers, who are you bringing back?
Man, I gotta say, you know, I was thinking, I thought Bill Guerin right away too. Just add that a little bit more in the top 6. I like where you guys are going with goalies, but I'm gonna go with someone to solidify that third line, and I'm still trying to decide as I keep mumbling right now.
You're gonna bring up
I'm gonna go with
a back.
Yeah, well, this is what you need. You need to secure our third line, right? So the guy needs to be able to be a great third liner. He's got to be able to kill penalties. He's going to be a face-offs. So a properly priced Sean Horkoff.
Oh, that's interesting. If we're talking about potential,
I need that all-round player right now. Mm-hmm. We're okay on defense. Goaltender, I can see that. Forwards, you know, the top end, we're fine. But we need someone to really solidify that third area there, and I think a well-priced Sean Horkoff would do the trick.
Could you imagine if this was a real thing that could happen, and how mad Oilers Twitter would get at Rick for bringing back Sean Horkoff of all people?
Hey, well-priced.
if we're talking about potential
Horkoff New Jersey Rick, the new look, you should get a Horkoff one, and then when people lick you off, fight them in the concourse.
I sit too low. Too many people can throw popcorn at me and
the
shit.
Captain C on it and just walk around the concourse like,
hey, I do have a Ferentz.
Ooh.
The captaincy?
Yeah, man.
Sweet.
If you had to bring back a defenseman, though, who are you going to bring back? Like, would Jason Smith be the
big sexy?
Big sexy. What?
Team needs more sexy.
Needs more.
Yeah.
Get out of here! Just because he liked one of your posts, he gets the answer
on Instagram. Big sexy.
He just went into the Hall of Fame, so you can't even use Kevin Lowe for that.
Yeah. Charlie Huddy, Steve Smith, I rattled them off. Sheldon Surrey in his prime, like before he got to Edmonton.
But you can't. But you got to go with like the Oilers time. Oilers service
okay,
time.
so like because my answer before I was debating using Adam Oates. Like that's a guy who wasn't in his prime when he was here, but him in his prime on this team, man. Come on,
dude. You want to pick
how good Connor would be on the faceoffs?
Yeah. You want to pick a defenseman to stick around? You want to bring a defenseman back? You bring back Eric Brewer, former Team Canada Eric Brewer.
He's firing shots from the point all over the place.
Now, similarly to this, but mostly off the rails, if you brought back somebody like Jacques Plante and you suited him up in net, do you have like a save percentage of like 0.01?
Yes.
Similarly, if you went and got like Jean Beliveau at the height of his game and put him out in an NHL game now with like a piece of wood that's come off a single oak tree, would he just be like shockingly awful?
I think so. I don't
commercials.
I don't want to say like shockingly awful because that's disrespectful, but that's why I always find the argument of like, who's the greatest ever? And like, you know, the guys that played way back when, like it's a totally different sport. Like it's not even fair to compare the eras because you mentioned bringing Jacques Plante and putting him in net here. Imagine if present day Mikko Koskinen with his present day gear could play net for the Oilers in the 80s. Like would he even give up 50 goals in a season? Someone was talking about this on Twitter. They're like, you take any goalie from today and throw him between the pipes for a team in the 60s or 70s. Like, it's not even a contest. They dominate.
Back in the day, Jacques Plante had like no helmet on, a cigarette lit. He was stacking his back to the ringette line on every other fucking shot.
That's just it. And it's like, but like those shots were muffins compared to what they were dealing with today. You see 105. What's that?
The sticks also weighed 12 pounds back then.
Yeah, that's true. But you see like 105 mile per hour Shea Weber shot just terrifies Jacques Plante and he retires on the spot. Like, I don't know.
Back in those days, he'd take it right off the melon and be like, fuck yeah.
But also I feel like they would be encumbered by today's equipment, right? Like they'd be like, what the hell am I wearing a suit of armor times 10 for?
You're like, wait till you see Zdeno Chara, motherfucker. It's about
wait till you see those slap shots start coming. You'll understand why you're wearing all that damn armor.
Now,
forwards would be okay. Forwards would be okay because you can skate, right?
Yeah.
Like those guys could, probably not the same as they can now, but they can still skate.
Well, goaltenders
is a science now.
Yeah.
Goalies
they wouldn't have a guy water skiing behind them every 2 seconds. They'd be like, what is this being able to skate through the neutral zone with my head down? I don't understand.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Connor cruising around in some of those tube skates. Could you imagine Connor those long fuckers from the 60s, just blades howling down, maybe stabbing himself in the back on the back hook?
If you dropped Connor the 1988 All-Star game and you're like, pick a team, and he's like, I don't know, Conn Smythe or Western Conference, and they're like, yeah, go for it. I bet you there'd be players crying by intermission because he's so much better than everyone.
Yeah.
Aya Frady, the rest of his hair would have fallen out one-on-one with Connor.
Which is also like, try to think of what this game could look like 40 years from now. Like, what is the 2060 NHL going to look like? Well, I mean, it's not, but like, what could that even look like? What could the 2060 NHL game look like? Or have we hit the peak? Is this as skilled as we are?
I think it's starting to plateau, right? Like, I think that you're drawing from all around the world. I don't think that like in 10 years, 10 times the kids will be playing. But I think that it's like athletic stuff. Like, who's that swimmer that just shattered Michael Phelps's records?
Really?
Yeah, there's some dude who just came out. He's a brand new super stud, whatever. And he's already beating Michael Phelps's records. I'm like, I thought those were going to stand the test of time.
Well, it's like Usain Bolt too. And I'm sure there's been studies that have been done for this, but like what is human maximum performance? Like, what is like the fastest possible time a human body can run the 100-meter in? I'm sure it's out there, but I mean, still, it's fascinating.
I need a steroid league. I need to know what we're missing out on.
But hockey's contained in the rink, right? Like Connor, think of what Connor could do if he had a longer ice surface, because he can get up to top speed and keep going for a hell of a lot longer time, right? You've got 5 steps you got to stay with Connor. You could have, what happened if there's 25? No one could ever keep up with that guy.
Yeah.
So as long as they're on that little ice, then you're kind of going to set a plateau. But if you get up and bigger, and a European hockey, who knows what he could do at that point.
Just wait till it comes out, though, that has Connor's speed but Zdeno Chara's size, and he's just a behemoth flying around there, pterodactyling his way through the neutral zone, firing pucks at 200 miles an hour.
I think the element that we kind of forget too is and we mentioned it earlier, is the technology continues to advance, and sticks are more flexible than they've ever been. They'll have a stick that's a solid state that can, reassemble itself by then, and skates will melt the ice around them as they glide along. And so everybody will be skating around the rink in 8 seconds flat. Like, it's just the technology will continue to grow. And I mean, really, if it wasn't for labor stoppages and the coronavirus, we would be talking about one of Gretzky's records that everybody said was never going to be broken being broken. So, it's going to continue to grow, and Ovechkin is a beneficiary of a lot of, technology and training that Gretzky didn't have.
Golf, right? Look at golf. Tiger's records. Dustin Johnson's whooping them. I remember when Tiger set those records, they're like, these records will stand until the year 3000. We'll all be living on the moon. Tiger Woods will still have the record at the Masters. People are whooping Tiger Woods proof golf courses left and right.
The goal. Yeah.
Remember when
like Dan said, Obi missed so much time, lockouts, now coronavirus. That's what, 200 games he's missed, 150 games, somewhere in there. Who knows how many goals he's in there? Another 100, probably. Right?
Yeah.
Remember when we thought straight razors were going to be the end of time, and now we have razors with 6 blades on them?
More blades.
Life is good.
10 blades, you pussies.
I was looking at the new iPhone 12 the other day, and it just makes me laugh that now it has 4 cameras. And it's like, what do you think about this? 4 cameras. I can't wait till the entire back is all cameras. And they zoom in on all kinds of things. I can creep in on neighbors from across the street, maybe 6 kilometers away, whatever I feel like.
I like how the technology for cell phones is now just stuck in a loop of like, it's getting bigger. You no longer have to flip it open. Look how big the screen is, to now it's like, ooh, nice and small. They're flipping again. How about that, motherfuckers? Like, here we go.
Anyway.
Just wait for the antenna to come back.
Yeah.
To answer the Sherwood Ford Giant question of the week, I'd bring Ryan Smith back. So how's that for a wrap on that conversation?
Oof.
There you go.
Yes. Top 6, baby. Next to McDavid, him going to the net.
Which era? Which year? What?
I was just going to say 7.5 million. Ryan Smith.
No, I want Smitty, whose mullet was covering his name on the back of his jersey. Oh. That was the guy with the white skates. That was the one who would park himself in front of the net, and he'd take one off the teeth and put it in the net if he had to. And I think an already stellar Edmonton Oilers power play with Smitty from his prime, it'd be great. Alex Chason wouldn't have a job anymore, unfortunately, but it would be great.
Some would argue Alex Chason already doesn't have a job anymore.
Yeah.
Well, you did bring up Alex Chason in our prep, Tyler. What's your problem with Alex Chason?
No, the reason I was bringing him up was I was just kind of thinking of which players on this Oilers roster are facing the most pressure to have a good year. And where I'm going with that is, like, Jujhar Khaira's in a contract year right now. And if he doesn't have a good season, not only could that be it for him with the Oilers, like, you might be able to argue that could be it for him in the NHL, right? Like, it could be tough for him to get another deal somewhere. And with Chason as well, I'm sure he'll get another deal. He's a veteran guy, can contribute on the power play. He's won a Stanley Cup. But if he doesn't have a good year, what's he looking at next off season, right? Like, his list of suitors will go down. So who's kind of facing the most pressure to really bring it this year?
Do you think that perhaps one of them might have to work for our friends at skipthedishes.ca, bringing delicious treats to Edmontonians every Friday night and weekend and weekday when they're hungry?
I mean,
thousands of opportunities like Oodle Noodle to come right to your door, Tyler.
I am pretty sure that once you play like 1 or 2 seasons in the NHL, you got enough money where you don't need to drive for Skip the Dishes. And that's not even a knock on Skip the Dishes either.
He drove for Uber. He drove a green Lambo in Toronto.
Who did?
Deadmau5.
Yeah.
I'm sure he just did that for fun.
You must have MF. You know who Deadmau5 is.
Thought it was Deadmau 5.
All right.
How dare you?
To answer your question, Tyler, I would say Tyson Barrie is right up there. I think that there's a guy that, I think a lot of people looked at as a huge signing for Toronto last year, and was given a show me contract and did not show them much of anything. And so they let him go. He comes to Edmonton on a very good team deal. And this is probably a year where he has to kind of make it or break it. If he has to keep doing these, show me deals in different cities, it's not going to be a good look for his career. I'd say Tyson Barrie is right up there for me.
Tyler, do you agree? Tyson Barrie, a lot to prove? That's a mailbag question coming up, Oilersnation.com on Monday. People want to know how much leash Tyson Barrie has. Tyler.
Yeah, and I thought that was a really interesting mailbag question because I agree with Dan that there's pressure on Barrie, but it's internal pressure. It's pressure he's going to be putting on himself to further his career. In terms of pressure from the Oilers or even pressure from this fan base, it's not even close to what it was like for him in Toronto. In Toronto, he was brought in that Kadri trade, and it was supposed to be like, all right, we got Morgan Riley on one pair, we got Tyson Barrie on another. Our defense is going to be set. And he failed. Like, he didn't bring that, and they turned on him quickly. I think here in Edmonton, what are we expecting from Tyson Barrie? We're expecting him to contribute on the power play. I'm not expecting him to be Clefbaum because he's not going to kill penalties and he's not going to play 25 minutes a night. So if he just plays well on the power play, he can honestly, if everyone's healthy, play third pairing minutes at even strength. Larson's there, Bear is there, and Barrie can slot in right under them. There's really not a lot of pressure for him to do spectacular things here in Edmonton. He needs to be good on the power play, which you could argue is going to be very easy considering who he's playing on the power play with. And he has to be half decent at 5-on-5 in a sheltered role. So there's pressure from Barrie on Barrie, but in terms of Edmonton on Barrie, there's not a lot of pressure at all.
Barrie, Ontario, huge anti-Barrie guys.
Yes.
Dan, why do you think Barrie's got a lot of pressure on him this year?
I just think that I think that any player when they're in these kinds of pivotal moments where your next contract is going to be your big smoke contract, you've got to show up and make it work. And as much as I think that most people that are looking at this with a critical eye don't expect Oscar Clefbaum replacement level play from him, I do think that there's a lot of people that will look at that, as look at him as a player that should be, playing at that same level of defense. I don't expect that of him. I think that, like, again, I said, if you look at it critically, I don't think you should expect the defense from him, but I do think that there is going to be a lot of pressure put on him from a fan base that is vocal about players that come in and have a lot of promise. So it's I do think that there's a ton of pressure on the guy. You're right, Tyler. There's a lot of pressure from Tyson on himself, but it's going to be an organizational fan thing as well.
Rick, who do you think's got the most pressure on going into 2021 whenever that kicks off?
Well, the shortest leeway, I think, is probably going to be Chase on. That's more because he doesn't really fit a PK role and his price tag. I think if he's not proven himself, you get him out of the lineup as fast as you can and get someone in there who can do it. And if that means trading him, you trade him. If that means putting him in the minors and saving yourself $1 million, you do that. I think he's going to have to hit higher expectations, even just a little bit, than Jujar. So maybe Jujar hitting his expectations is going to be a little bit easier. And I agree, Barrie, there's no real pressure there, man. He's not expected to play in the top, the top minutes. Every time you say Barrie, all I think is power play. So if we can just be, capable 5-on-5 and go out and do something good on the power play, I think that's a win for the season.
Wanye, what will you be teaching baby Wanye about and who to watch in 2021?
So I don't get the same question everybody else got?
Oh, yeah. Who's got the most pressure on them? Who's young Wanye going to be looking at and being like, this MFer right here needs to skate. He needs to hustle.
Lil Wanye is only going to know the Connor McDavid era, which is actually hilarious because life has come full circle to when I was a little kid and we had the Gretzky era and you had no frame of reference. And you're like, the Oilers win every year because I'm 4, right? Like, it doesn't even make any sense. He now is going to live in a world where, of course, Connor McDavid is the captain. I think the guy with the shortest leash this year has to be Jujar because it's almost like he's forgotten how to be Jujar. He doesn't hit. He doesn't fight like he used to. He barely imposes his will on anybody. And like Jujhar Khaira needs to finish one major check every 3 games to be effective Jujhar. And we haven't seen that guy, I swear, since now in like 2 years.
I guess my thing too with Jujhar though is that he's our penalty killer. He's a guy that is like a stalwart on the PK, whereas like Rick said, Jason isn't. Barry definitely isn't. So I think that Jujhar has like a bit of a leash in the sense that we need someone to kill the penalties that isn't Leon Draisaitl and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. So
but he's such a specimen. What's the fight I'm thinking of where he beat the hell out of somebody?
Kyle Clutterbuck.
That's exactly. Yeah. I was like, we have a guy who could do this to that guy. What the actual fuck is going on? And then he never.
100% though. Yeah, he needs sandpaper. He needs sandpaper and grit in his game. It's been missing for a year, and I mean, who knows why? Right? Who knows if he was told not to? Who knows if he was? He just kind of.
He probably took a bunch of minor penalties and got freaked out. And they're like, the referees have your number. If we see you in the penalty box again, Jujhar, you're on the first train to the AHL.
Yeah. I just don't think that the team's going to get... Who are you talking to, Tyler?
I was talking to my television remote.
Wait, hang on.
The future.
Yep. I'm
trying... I heard there's a way to watch this, the match with Barkley, Phil, Steph, and Peyton. I heard there's a way to watch it in Canada, so I'm now just trying to find it on my TV. I couldn't find CNN International.
I don't think we have it.
We don't?
I looked for CNN. I looked for CNN International.
There's 5 of us on this podcast, and 2 of us or 3 of us are engaged right now.
I'm engaged. I just gave a very passionate take on Tyson Barrie. I just also have... No, we're not starting that again.
Congratulations. Mazel tov. Let's get a clip of that. I'd like a clip of that.
It's because you got your new Twig and Berry set.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't resist.
I'm rocking the hat right now from Nation Real Life sponsors, Twig and Berries. All right.
Some good dinner.
About speaking to your TV remote, please.
Pardon?
I want to know about you talking to your remote.
Honestly, once you get that feature on a TV remote, it's very hard to go back to life before that. I don't even know what channel things are because I just tell my remote, like, play TSN, play Sportsnet, and those are the only 2 channels I watch anyways, so it's all good.
And it's like, okay, Tyler, you're really sexy. Oh.
Yeah.
I like it when you turn me on.
Hello.
This conversation right now is probably why Bradman9944 gave us a 5-star review. We're saying, you idiots are fun to listen to on my Saturdays. Good insight on the Oilers and hockey in general, but you ramble on about non-hockey nothing items much too often. Well, that was for you, Bradman.
He gave us 5 stars.
Most of you are young. That's a backhanded compliment.
You can tell most of you are young. I appreciate your energy spent to entertain, even though your youthful, self-absorbed takes on things from before you were born makes me shake my head. God bless Low Tide and his patience. Keep up the good work, and I look forward to your next podcast.
That's specifically Tyler.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
that's a Tyler review.
Yeah, and good sir, we just spoke about Jacques Plante for the record. You guys see a Low Tide podcast going back that far.
Low Tide would probably have a song from the 70s that he thinks about whenever he thinks about Jacques Plante. He would be able to tie them together beautifully because that's what LT does. He's very talented. Tyler, are you learning from him?
Learning from Low Tide? It was just our 3-year anniversary the other day. Very exciting day from myself and LT. Me and him have a very strict no gift thing. Like,
nice.
Like, you know, these people you work with, you're like, I got you something for me and Low Tide, like no Christmas, birthday, none of that nonsense. Our relationship is strictly professional.
Low Tide is probably so happy to have somebody older than him come on the show when you join.
3-year anniversary gift is leather, Tyler. Did you know
leather?
Leather.
Hello.
Ooh la la.
He got a big anniversary present from our work from Bell because he's been there for like whatever 40, 50 years now. It's not 50. I think it actually is 30 or 40. But I had to go drop it off at his house because he's not allowed in the radio station still. And they probably gave him like a box of bricks. I could barely carry this thing. And it's also very exciting when I get to go to Low Tide's house.
I imagine he just lives in a stately mansion with like all these hockey newses piled everywhere.
Love Low Tide.
He lives like a minute away from me, actually. It's very convenient.
That is
the 30-year gift is Pearl.
They gave him a massive Pearl.
Pearl.
Nice. I like that. Okay, Tyler.
Yep.
The last couple of weeks, courtesy of our friends at Cornerstone Insurance, we've had a couple of excellent interviews.
Yes.
Tell us about Cornerstone Insurance, Tyler.
Cornerstone Insurance. Well, you can find them online, www.cornerstone. And then instead of insurance, it's just ins.ca, because they are not only proudly Canadian, they are proudly Edmontonian. Our friends at cornerstone.ca have been setting us up with some fantastic interviews all month long. Solid protection, sound advice, Cornerstone Insurance. And we've had some great guests. We started the month with our friend Coom. That was a ton of fun. We had Lolly Tour on last week, and that was a really cool conversation just about, making hockey a little bit more diverse and things like that. If you have a second, you didn't listen to it last week, go back and check out that interview. It was a ton of fun with Lolly Tour. I learned a lot. Cornerstone Insurance.
Since we're talking about Cornerstone Insurance, I want to talk about Connor McDavid's house. That was a thing on Twitter this week because it got posted on Bar Down, a couple of pictures. Connor's going with a dark color scheme in his place. I like it. I think it's kind of Batcave-ish. Very, very arousing to me, Connor. I appreciate it. But people didn't like it. Connor's house took a bunch of heat on social media.
What?
I thought it was funny. Yes, they did.
What did they say, these dirty fucks?
Well, they were comparing him to Dexter, other type things like that.
It's interesting that he doesn't like hockey memorabilia up in his house. That's very interesting.
Most guys at least have like the room, right? Like it's not all over the walls.
Into his mind, though, right? That at some point, Connor McDavid wants to stop being Connor McDavid and just be a guy with a very big mansion.
That has to be at his parents' house. All of his stuff has to be at his folks'
They do. They have it. I saw it on Hockey Night in Canada last year when Ron McLean went to the McDavid house or something like that. And in the basement is like the Connor shrine. Yeah.
Here's a funny bit of news, though. A lot of those tweets that have the photos have been taken down because the copyright owner asked them to be taken down. So shout out to the copyright owner who was like, well, we don't want Connor to get this much attention.
Some of the complaints that I saw, the kitchen wasn't enough usable space. I thought it was
fuck's sake, people.
Connor's not cooking. Connor's ordering food.
He orders skip the dishes like the rest of us.
I would assume so. Maybe if he cooks, makes himself a nice omelet.
I'll hit you with an exclusive. Connor McDavid bought his house for his parents in town.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you where. I'm not going to tell you how. But if that's the house you buy for your parents, money is no object. Not having enough pickles in the fridge is not a problem. He'll simply order a new fridge.
He brought his parents here?
Yeah, man, they got a house here.
It's a house that's here for like his family who comes to visit and stuff, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I feel you.
I remember once I was having dinner at the Pint during an Oilers Leafs game, and the game had like just started, and I looked out the window of the Pint, and Lauren and Connor's parents walked by, and I was like, "Oh shit, no way!"
And then Rick flew by in a jetpack with 2 drones.
I was there that night. I remember him asking or telling me what he saw.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about his parents for some reason. Like, why the hell they're here?
And then Rick was gone for half an hour after that.
Lauren comes to the entire house. I follow her stuff. I think she actually has a very good eye for design.
Yeah.
Well, it's like
part of my question is, were you guys surprised by the reaction to Connor's house? Like, to me, I just kind of thought it was funny. Like, I don't know.
The internet is undefeated in being just absolutely ridiculous when it comes to this stuff. We all like, and don't get me wrong. I think everybody, when we saw those photos last year, was like, oh, or was like, oh, I love that kind of stuff. Who cares? At the end of the day, who cares? It's not like he built this house for everybody on Twitter to enjoy. He built the house because he enjoys it. And if it's a murder palace, in your opinion, or it's the scene from Dexter, who cares? It's not your money.
Right. He built that house so that Lauren would enjoy it. And then by default, he would enjoy it. She's like, Connor, I want to put Gucci leather on the walls and a suede toilet. And he's like, whatever, baby. We got that Adidas money coming in.
That picture he shared of him in the pink Adidas hoodie, that's not a great hoodie. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of that pink color. No, that's not my style.
Second photo in the thing where he's looking over his shoulder sexily.
He's got a better fashion sense than Austin Matthews now.
Fair.
Did you see the orange camo?
The orange camo? No.
Yeah, Adidas put out a photo of him in an orange camo suit.
Connor's rocking orange camo? How did you see it? Haha, zinger.
I actually made that joke as well. Couldn't see anything but his head and his arms. I wanted to make sure he wasn't dead.
we were talking about things we're sick of on Twitter, the McDavid house being one. Also, McDavid being photographed with Austin Matthews and having to deal with Leafs fans still thinking it's funny to be like, oh, just in time for him to come to Toronto. Can't wait. Like, oh, that drives me nuts. I hate that. So annoying.
What drives me nuts is the overreaction from Oilers fans because every time it happens. I like to just post a picture of Connor with all his MVP trophies smiling and be like, no, he's an Oiler. Sorry about that. And in fact, Austin Matthews' contract ends before his does. So.
Yeah. It's Leafs fans not quite realizing it's far more likely that Austin Matthews jumps ship and goes to Arizona than it is that McDavid goes to Toronto.
Back to the overreaction about Connor and Austin Matthews being together. My thought was, if you're the best players in the NHL, wouldn't you want to practice with the other best players in the NHL? Especially if you're friends.
Yeah.
And they both had COVID already.
Yeah, they both did have COVID. So they're good. I was honestly a little surprised McDavid was down in Arizona. That's the only thing that surprised me. I'm like, I'm surprised he's in Arizona when like Draisaitl and all them are up here already and like they're skating together. But that's not like a story. That's not something that needs to be like reported on. It was just like
there's got to be some like Adidas. There's got to be some work reasons for it. Like I don't see him just going down there for no.
Like his knee checked out or something down there, and it's hard to get across the border, so it's better to be down there.
He's taking pictures. And where's the Adidas headquarters? Is it down there somewhere?
Let me ask my remote.
Reese. Yeah, ask your remote.
Yeah, your rim jacker on fire.
No, my remote wouldn't be able to tell me that.
One day,
when Elon Musk has his way and we all have chips in our brains, and I too will ask my remote where the Adidas thing is.
The Adidas headquarters are in Herzogenaurach, Germany.
Do they have like maybe where's the North American one?
They have to have a North American headquarters.
Nope, it's only Germany.
Arizona.
I do not believe you, Dan.
It's only in Germany. Herzogenaurach, Germany. It's just a building in the middle of nowhere with a giant soccer ball in front of it.
I mean, that makes sense.
There you go.
Portland is the North American headquarters for Adidas.
Nope, that's wrong. Portland. It's Herzogenaurach, Germany.
Pretty sure this conversation right now is why StatsCo gave us a 5-star review for thanks for filling my Friday commute with everything Oilers. Tough living on the West Coast in Canucks territory. He comes for the Adidas takes. He stays for the hot and cold performers.
If you have a complaint about the New Jerseys, send it to Herzogenaurach, Germany.
Actually,
where they love to hear about it.
The New Jersey tournament we're doing on Daily Faceoff. DFO, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're voting on the reverse retros. Oilers coasted through the first round against the Pacific. Flames lost, unlucky. But that is going on at Daily Faceoff on Twitter all week and probably next week as well. Coombsy and I are doing it.
Yeah, I'm looking at this bracket now. It's labeled Vibe Check, which is a very Coombsy thing to call this bracket. And I'm just looking at it right now. It's the best jersey to be released this year. So the Seattle Kraken are in it, and they won their opening round matchup. The Canucks beat the Ducks, which I was a little surprised by. Flames, like you said, lost out to the Kings. Oilers on to the next round as well. And then on the Atlantic Division, the Bruins beat the Red Wings. Not surprising. That jersey's terrible. The Habs beat the Panthers, which did surprise me, but Habs fans are going to be Habs fans. The Sabres beat the Leafs, and the Senators beat the Lightning, which I'm going to disagree with as well. I like that Lightning jersey, but I digress.
I thought the Senators one should have won that anyway. But that goes on at Daily Faceoff on all social platforms. Go vote. It's in the stories. Do it. Thing I wanted to bring up next was Pierre LeBrun the other day tweeted, hearing that NHLPA Executive Director Donald Fair and NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman haven't spoken since last Thursday, which speaks to how the players feel regarding the NHL's salary deferral escrow asks. Still time to salvage this. However, I think next week is important. The two leaders had nearly daily dialogue most of the offseason, so this communication stalemate is noteworthy for that reason. But again, I think they will see their way through this eventually. Tyler, your take on the stalemate we are currently riding through with the NHL and the PA.
I've said this a few times, so I'll say it again. I'm not worried that there's not going to be a season. Like, I do think we're going to get a season at some point here. It's going to look weird. There's going to be an all-Canadian division. It's not going to be 82 games. There's going to be no cross-division play. We've kind of always thought that January 1, that start date was a bit of a pipe dream. And the longer this continues to roll on, where it's the two sides aren't talking, this is happening, or more like this is not happening, the longer, I just think it's going to start January 15th to 20th in that range. We're going to get 48 to 62 games in, and then we're going to go from there. It's going to be done by the first week of July, and we'll start to get back to a bit of a normal schedule here after that. But it's not great to see that the labor piece has been disrupted, but I'm not worried that there's not going to be a season.
Wanye?
I guess my first question is, do you have a name for your mustache, your M-Chuck, or is it just the mustache at this point?
No, I don't have a name for it because it's super embarrassing and I'm not proud of it.
I think it's the Nuge stash.
Well, if you look, so the things that made Nuge's mustache unique, he couldn't grow anything in the middle.
Yeah.
I got nothing in that middle, right?
Wow,
so
dang, look at that.
We can use this. We can use it to sell the T-shirt.
Keep new shirts on discount right now, nationgear.ca. Tyler's face is on a T-shirt, essentially.
It actually is. T-shirt. Yeah, the white T-shirt. That is very accurate.
Keep it till we get a vaccine, your M-Chuck. Keep Movember going all year round. You already living with your girlfriend. You've already won. You locked her in.
And most guys that actually can grow a mustache are like, oh, I would keep it. But, like my wife or my significant other really hates it. It's the opposite for me. For like 3 days, I've been like, I'm shaving this thing. And she'll be like, no, please don't. And I don't get it because I can't grow. In the bedroom. Well, I cannot grow facial hair, but she wants me to keep it. And it mind fucks me a little bit.
It's well, shit. What would be your Latin name, Tyler?
I don't know.
It's Taco Yaremchuk, the Latin lover with a mustache. Hello, my dear.
No.
Speaker in a flamenco accent. And yeah, look at that. Erotic.
Very erotic.
What was your question again, caller?
Business of sport, the dick measuring between the NHL and the PA.
We are staring into the abyss. There are very, very good businesses that are in deep, deep shit. Disney's laying off, 30,000 people right now? Right? Like, if you think that Donald Fair and fucking Gary Bettman are going to dictate where the pandemic goes and how things are going to go, give me a break. We need to come together on this shit. And in a year, it's going to be fairly back to normal, or we're going to lose a season, or we're going to look like chumps. This is my fourth labor disruption in my life as an Oilers fan, as an adult. Fourth.
And it's incredible, too, because there's a CBA extension agreement in place, but that took place 4 months ago, and people didn't know where the pandemic was going to go in a week, let alone in 4 months.
If Alexander Ovechkin was the highest scoring NHL player of all time, Vladimir Putin would give him an aircraft carrier. And he has been denied his aircraft carrier and his generalness in the Navy because of all these bullshit interruptions.
I could see Ovi cruising in tanks, couldn't you?
Sick.
Celebrating.
I gave him Kazakhstan as a present.
He already said he wants to play KHL when he's done in the NHL. So, Ovi wins the KHL championship, and then Putin gives him a tank.
And he's got the all-time leading scorer trophy that they made for this occasion that Putin paid for.
I like it. Rick, you worried? You started to get worried yet? You've been telling the NHL to get back on the ice basically months ago.
Yeah, I still think they should have been had all their ducks in a row for December 1st. I know there would have been a lot of question marks and whatever, and maybe that was bad timing on my part, seeing how after their holidays, their numbers keep skyrocketing in the US. So yeah, maybe it is better that they start on the back end of the holidays stuff. So I guess if we're going to see a New Year's Eve, 14 days after that. If that's going to be a little peak, maybe you jump in right around that time again. Personally, I still think they should be figuring out how to get going as early as possible. There's nothing on TV. They're having a prime opportunity to get into the American household and grab new fans, but it is what it is, I guess. So is the sooner the better, but I'm not too fearful about there not being a season at all. I don't see that happening.
Well, I think for all of us, it'd be nice if they just... some kind of news, you remember in the summer when they were like, okay, we've got an agreement, and then the ball started rolling very quickly.
But I bet you back then they had a bunch of stuff already done. I think they had a bunch of, underlying issues. They had it written out. They had to figure it out. That was the easy stuff. They had to figure out the hard stuff. So I think right now they're trying to figure out the hard stuff, and then they have the schedule, the easier minor stuff. Yeah, I think that stuff's so it can still happen where it's going to look like it's happening super fast. But they've done their homework. They've done some work. They've taken care of the, dotting the I's and crossing the T's before they got the big stuff done. So I think, it can still get going. I don't think it's going to take that long once the ball gets moving.
I hope you're right, my friend. Tyler, get your buttons ready. Time for Oodle Noodle hot and cold performers.
Let's go.
If you go into any of Oodle Noodle's 14 locations, 10% of all curbside and takeout orders will be donated to local charities and initiatives. You can find out more about it on Oodle Noodlegram on Instagram, at Oodle Noodlegram on Instagram, and on Twitter it's at Oodle_Noodle. Location number 15, coming Fort Saskatchewan. My sister and her family are very excited. Wonton soup, Fort Saskatchewan. It's good. It's good. Wanye, thoughts on Oodle Noodle?
Excellent company. Mm-hmm. I would eat there regularly, I would say. Very regularly, in fact. And it's delicious.
It is delicious. Also, they are on Skip the Dishes as well. If you're looking for something to eat Friday night, Saturday, whenever, Oodle Noodle, get yourself some green onion cakes. They're delicious. As we do every week, we start with our veggies. So I'm going to look at Tyler rubbing his mustache. Tyler, your Oodle Noodle cold performer of the week.
Last week I gave my hot performer of the week to the AJHL for getting their season started, playing a couple of weekends. It was exciting stuff. I was happy to have hockey back. So this week, my cold performer of the week is going to the AJHL season being put on pause again. They probably won't get back on the ice until the new year, which is too bad because I like watching live hockey, and now I won't get to do that for the next month.
Worse.
Rick, your Oodle Noodle cold performer of the week.
We're jumping over sports again, and we're going over the NFL. And this is for one particular person. So the reports say this is the guy or the lady who works for the Baltimore Ravens, who apparently got their whole damn team sick. That's throwing a huge curveball into absolutely everything going on right now and just fucking up the NFL. And one person they had, like they came out and said they disciplined him.
How did this happen? They were an office staff member?
I don't know. So he came in with symptoms. He told somebody he had symptoms and then went to work and just did his shit.
That's a joke. That's an absolute joke is what it is.
Nation Dan, your Oodle Noodle cold performer of the week.
Well, mine's going to stick in the sports world, but it's going to be a local host of a sports show called Avery Sports Show. And I think that it's been something that I've been kind of just sitting back and watching.
Oh, you're taking shots at Avery right now?
His terrible food takes all along. You can come after donairs. You can make your silly takes about steak. But if you ever speak poorly of carrot cake again, Avery, I'm going to come through this podcast and I'm going to fight you. So it's Avery of Avery Sports Show for his take on carrot cake.
Avery does have terrible food takes.
He does.
He keeps sending me beet recipes, even though there's no hockey. There's no reason for me to eat beets. Avery, I don't need beets. I just don't. Wanye, your Oodle Noodle cold performer of the week from the last 7 days of your life, something that just is picking at your craw.
I didn't know we were doing this, but luckily I have a lot of beef with a lot of people. I guess my issue is with Black China, the impresario who was earlier married to Rob Kardashian. And earlier this week, she showed photos from her house with all these luxury cars. And I was like, damn, Black China is rich. And then I read later on a celebrity blog that she just borrowed the cars and they weren't hers. Like, what the fuck?
Are you thrilled? I'm not.
I miss sports.
Yep. To wrap this up, my Oodle Noodle cold performer of the week is me for getting older because I watched the American Music Awards last weekend and they did a country grammar medley because that album is now 20 years old. And seeing Nelly out there looking like he ate young Nelly makes me upset. I remember the days with the Band-Aids. This is bullshit. How's country grammar 20 years old? Me getting old and shitty is the cold performer of the week.
What the hell is going on?
Nelly is swole. He's just so jacked.
He is. He's jacked. But you know what? EI still smashes Tyler. EI by Nelly.
Yeah.
Check it out.
True.
Before you shut anything down, Chuck, and end this show, I want to shout something out by thunder.
We need to do our hot performers of the week, though.
Just don't end it unless I get to do a quick infomercial for a thing I'm working on.
Okay.
Flipping the ledger to the hot performers of the week. I'm starting at the other Dan's up on my top right now. Nation Dan, your Oodle Noodle hot performer of the week.
It's actually going to go out to the host of this little segment that we do. It's going to go out to Oodle Noodle for their current project that they're working on. where if you send in a letter, I think it was 150 to 200 words, you can win yourself a free package of Oodle Noodle food. And it goes to a woman in need this holiday season with the Shoebox Project. So head on over to Oodle Noodle on all the social media and fill in that letter. Take a little bit of time out of your day to make some good feelings happen this holiday season.
I like this right here.
So what Dan's talking about is Oodle Noodle's inviting you to send some words of kindness for women in our community who are staying in shelters this holiday season. So if you head on over to Oodle Noodle's social media at Oodle Noodlegram on Instagram and Oodle_Noodle on Twitter, you will get all the details as well as the video of Jay explaining the whole thing. Rick, your Oodle Noodle hot performer of the week.
Well, this usually happens to one of us almost every week. Someone comes up with something well thought up and, from the heart, and then follow up with something absolutely ridiculous. So here I am with something absolutely ridiculous. I am going to give my shout out here to American Thanksgiving. You've given me a reason to eat mashed potatoes, gravy, and stuffing last night. I've had football to watch yesterday, and I'm sitting here watching college football on a Friday afternoon. They're just they're sprinkle a little bit of football for me, and I'm very appreciative of that. So thank you very much, America.
Tyler, your Oodle Noodle hot performer of the week.
My Oodle Noodle hot performer of the week is myself. No, not from my mustache growing ability. I'm fully aware that that's terrible. But after a terrible Sunday of sports betting, I redeem myself with a big Monday and a big Thursday. So I have added this button just for myself today, and it is this.
The big guy is smoking hot.
And the goal horn in the background, too.
Yeah.
Good for you. Our friends at Oddshark obviously helping you do your thing.
Big time.
Wanye, your Oodle Noodle hot performer of the week.
Oh, I guess it'd have to be Black China. I mean, she's tricking everybody on her Instagram. This chick hasn't been with Rob Kardashian in like a year, and she's still in the news. What's up?
I don't even know what that is.
Put some respect on her name. You got that one?
What?
Put some respect on my name.
Oh, you want the Birdman? That would have been a good one.
Put some respect on my name.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My Oodle Noodle hot performer of the week. You know what? I am going to give it to Tyler's mustache. I really love the way it's filling in. I like the way it looks. I like the way he looks with it. I like the screenshot I just took of it. And I like everything about it. Smiling nicely. It's a podcast. You can't see that. But I hope Josh Park clips that nice smile so we can post it on Instagram. So, Tyler, your mustache is my hot performer of the week.
He's a hot guy.
He's a hot guy. You are a hot guy. Good for you for the buttons for yourself.
New buttons this week. I like mixing it up once in a while. And again, to the listeners, if there's ever a clip out there that you think would be good for hot and gold performers, send it my way. I'm always looking to expand my buttons.
Before we end off the podcast, Wanye wants to talk about a project. This is your avenue, sir. Please.
This wasn't even planned. I was just dropping something off the bag nut. But while I'm here and I've got your listeners' ear, we have this new thing called the Edmonton Coffee Club. YEGcoffeeclub.com. And it's like sumo jerky, my old beef jerky project that almost had the IRS declare me an American business, and I had to get rid of it under duress. I'm back in 2020, bitches. It's way stronger. And so you go to Edmonton Coffee Club and you can get a subscription, and you get a different Edmonton roasted coffee every month and different locally made snacks in your subscription box. So maybe you're stuck at home, you can't get out as much as you want to, you can't try new stuff. Sign up for the Coffee Club. It makes an excellent gift at the Christmas season. Support local businesses. These are all Edmonton companies. Yaremchuk, you bought one, and I've since souped it up aftermarket. And you're going to get hooked up, my friend. Not everybody's
I love it.
Yaremchuk levels of swag, but it is a very good service.
Fair enough. Grow a good mustache like me, and maybe you would get that level, people. Come on.
Also, check out Yeg Coffee Club on Instagram. Yeg Coffee Club on Instagram. From all of our friends at Sherwood Ford, Skip the Dishes, Cornerstone Insurance, and Oodle Noodle. Thank you for being here. This is Oilersnation Radio. Subscribe. Leave your comments on our podcast. I will read them regardless of what you say. I am Ron Burgundy with the reviews. Just leave them there. Tell Tyler he's got a handsome mustache. That's what he really wants to hear. You can accompany it with a 1-star review if you want.
Don't, though.
Call us idiots. But you know what? He's right. He is right. We are idiots. And we thank you for listening. Have a great weekend.
Shout out Damien.
Best wishes.
Thanks for listening to Oilers Nation Radio, a member of the Nation Network of Podcasts. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media to stay up to date and never miss a podcast.